Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here once again to make you a drink. Today I'm going to be making you the Black Cat cocktail, which is the feature drink in today's episode. Right, we're going to start. Shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add 1 ounce blue curacao, delicious. Vodka, 1 ounce as well. And 1/2 ounce freshly squeezed lime juice from the plastic lime. Next, shake. Right, to that we add 3 ounces lemon lime soda. I'm using Sprite, so 3 ounces. One and a half. 1.5. And let's put some more. And we stir. Fantastic. Next we take our glass, cranberry juice, 1 ounce of cranberry juice. A little bit more, just for fun. Next, from our shaker, we're going to strain it into the glass over a spoon to try to not make them mix as much. Don't know how successful that was, but whatever. And there you have it, the Black Cat. Yeah, it's good. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
Finally, we have a movie with two of the greats together. In this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, number 44, The Black Cat, Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff star together. But this is not exactly what we'd call a buddy film. More of a frenemies movie. We both agree that Bela is much more relaxed and fluid in his acting than Boris. Perhaps Karloff's stiffness comes from his heavy satanic robes. Or maybe he's distracted by the beautiful women suspended in glass cases in his basement. Whatever it is, Bela runs away with this one. We also get to talk a little bit about phobias, one of which is ailurophobia, which I definitely don't have. In fact, quite the opposite. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. Did you like how I read that, Karen?
I was going to say, you must have read it because it was flawless.
Flawless. How are you, Karen?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Greg?
I'm good.
You're going well this last couple weeks.
Well, it's the month of love.
That's true. That would uplift anyone's spirits.
Yes, my heart's all aflutter 24/7. So, Karen, I don't have anything to say about the last episode. To you?
No. If anyone wants to correct us, just hit us up at info@scaryspirits.com.
So I believe this episode was my choice, was it? Was it not?
This was yours.
Okay. This episode, I have chosen the film The Black Cat from 1934. We've done a bunch of Universal films lately. I have to say, this is a Universal film starring Bela Lugosi and Karloff, as
yes,
he's credited. So this is our third Karloff film in a row, Karen.
Yes, it is.
Crazy.
We get to see all sides of Karloff.
Yes, we do. Karen, I do have a cocktail for this episode as well.
As you should. What do you got?
So the cocktail I have chosen is called the Black Cat cocktail, Karen.
That's very clever.
See what I did there?
I do.
So we're going to need, for this cocktail, 1 ounce of blue curacao, 1 ounce vodka, 3 ounces lemon lime soda, or as I call it, Sprat, 1 ounce cranberry juice, and a 1/2 ounce freshly squeezed lime juice from the plastic lime.
Or the fresh one.
Or the fresh one, whatever. Would you like to know how to make it, Karen?
Of course.
All right. First thing we're going to do is fill a shaker halfway with ice. Then we're going to add the 1 ounce of blue curacao, 1 ounce of vodka, and 1/2 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice from the plastic lime. Then we're going to shake it until mixed well. Then we add the 3 ounces of Sprat and stir. Next, we pour the cranberry juice into a tall glass. Mine wasn't so tall. I don't think it needs to be a tall glass. I mean, it's only, 7 ounces liquid? But anyway, so you pour the 1 ounce cranberry juice into a glass, and then over the back of a spoon, you strain gently the mixed ingredients over the cranberry juice, being very, very careful not to completely mix the two for presentation purposes, Karen. Then you serve the cocktail with a cocktail stirrer and a lime twist for garnish, which I didn't have. So,
do you want to give everyone time to gather their ingredients?
I suppose. Hang on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Everyone has their black cat cocktail. Mine's green.
I just hope everyone did a better job than I did with the spoon.
Me too.
I can't do that. I suck at that. I can muddle with the best of them, but I cannot do that spoon thing. I got to practice that.
I can sometimes, but this time I don't think it worked so good. But still good. Still tastes good.
So good. Again, your mom's going to be upset so well. Grammar.
Thank you, Dr. Karen. All right, Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for this film you could read to us? Tell us a story, Dr. Karen. I'm sure you'll get all the names correct.
Oh, my God. This is going to take some serious editing. The Black Cat, 1934. Honeymooning in Hungary, Joan and Peter Allison share their train compartment with Dr. Vitas Verdigast, a courtly but tragic man who is returning to the remains of the town he defended before becoming a prisoner of war for 15 years. When their hotel-bound bus crashes in a mountain storm and Joan is injured, the travelers seek refuge in the home built fortress-like upon the site of a bloody battlefield of famed architect Perlzig. There, cat-phobic Verdigast learns his wife's fate, grieves for his lost daughter, and must play a game of chess for Joan's life.
Thank you, Karen, for that brief synopsis.
You're so welcome, Greg.
Karen, are you ready to get into the film?
Before we get started on the film, Greg, why did you pick this one?
Because, Karen, I have been roped into your month of love.
Okay, and what screamed love
Well,
to you?
we have newlyweds in this movie, and we have
True.
someone who may be the bride of Satan. That's very romantic, isn't it?
It is.
And apparently Perlzig has lots of women collected. Romantic
I wouldn't call that romantic.
You what?
But no.
Oh, you don't think him, wanting to honor their beauty for eternity is romantic, Dr. Karen?
Not if he's killing them young so they stay beautiful.
No one said he killed anybody.
Vitas says he killed her.
Well, Vitas says lots of things, Karen.
It's true. I'm guessing that all those women at the same age did not die from natural causes. But that's just my guess. We'll see.
Yes, we will. Are you ready to get into it?
Yep.
All right. The Black Cat from 1934, Universal Pictures film. It is rated NR, Karen.
That makes sense. Sort of.
Well, did you watch it on Amazon Prime? Correct?
I did.
So did I. And that's the first thing I saw, rated NR. I was ready to make a note of smoking and language.
No, none of that.
No, none of that shit. They didn't mention any of that shit.
I don't think they had any of that.
There's violence. There's plenty of fucking violence, Karen.
Well, that's true. But there's no smoking.
There's plenty
there's
of
a little
satanic
drinking.
shit.
Yeah.
Don't they
there's
care
some
about
drinking.
that? Don't they care about, Satan? And
I don't think Satan worship is one of the things they throw in there.
okay, so no one cares about Satan worshipers. Okay. So we start with credits. And once again, Boris Karloff is credited as just Karloff. He's in his Madonna phase or some shit.
I like when they do credits like this, the mini clip credits. So you see who plays each.
Yes, that's
character.
the next thing I had. That's the next thing I have is that we see the main characters and scenes from the film during the credits, so we will be able to recognize them later, Karen, in their costumes. Movie opens. We're at a train station, Karen. It's very busy. There's people everywhere. Lots of people traveling on the trains back in 1934, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's a steam train too. Lots of steam everywhere.
Next, we see, I think it's Joan's passport, but the people are reading her passport and they sound very German to me, Karen. But they do say they're on the Orient Express.
Yeah, that was weird.
Why?
That they threw in that it was the Orient Express. Is that before?
Because they're not traveling anywhere near the Orient. They're more in
No,
Eastern
no.
Europe.
I meant more before Agatha Christie's novel.
Okay. No, I don't know.
I didn't know if she wrote it before that. Because that's a famous train, right?
Yeah, I would say so. 34. So Murder on the Orient Express happens the same time this movie is filmed.
It's probably not really related.
Probably not. But we learn they are newlyweds, Karen, in the car there as they're checking their passports. Joan and Peter. And they talk about dining in the car. Do you recognize Peter, Karen, from
No.
any other film?
No, what's he from?
So Peter played Jonathan Harker in the 1931 Dracula with Bela
Ah,
Lugosi.
nice.
Yes, he was also in The Mummy, apparently, later.
So he's a universal actor.
Thought that was interesting. I didn't recognize him either. But then the bellboy or whatever the hell it is, what do they call those guys on trains?
They're not conductors. Are they conductors?
I don't know what they are.
I think they might be conductors. They come and check
They're
your
not
tickets.
conductors. The conductor
Oh.
drives the train, Karen.
I thought that was an engineer.
Well, yeah, could be an engineer.
They're in apartment F. Compartment F. And they're talking about whether they're hungry or not. And they both say they're not. And then they both say they are because they didn't eat at the wedding. And
they're newlyweds and they're cute
they're
like that.
Googly eyes at each other. And, should we dine in? Wink, wink, wink. And they decide they're going to.
As opposed to dining out on the same train, like in a different car. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're staying on the damn train.
Yeah, but they're alone in a compartment and they're newlyweds.
I see what you're saying now, Karen.
But just as they agree to dine in,
conductor comes and says, sorry, there's been a mix-up. Would you mind sharing your compartment with this guy named Vitus Vertigast?
What a bummer. They look bummed too.
It was played by Bela Lugosi.
They look devastated. They had other plans.
Yeah, but they say it's fine. Whatever.
They don't have far to go, apparently.
Yes.
So.
And Vitus tells the newlyweds he is going to visit an old friend very near where they are going as well. So they're going to be buddies. Going to be good friends by the time this trip is over.
There's lots of eye acting right in here. From Bella. It's just a lot. There's nothing said, just a lot of eyeballs.
True. Yeah, they're all kind of like the newlyweds, Joan and Peter, are kind of like looking out towards the window, even though the shade is fucking closed. So they're not looking at anything at this point.
Well, the doctor opens the.
Well, he does later. Yeah. That's how I know that they're not looking at anything. But
it would be hard to sit like that in a train, I would think, because where do you look except directly across from you at the other person?
We'll make conversation. It's a big deal.
Okay, Mr. Extrovert, I guess I'll go in the coach with you because you'll make all kinds of conversation with people.
Only if people make eye contact with me. I try to be scary so people don't.
They do talk to each other.
But the train seems to be traveling at a very quick pace. I wrote, Cameron.
I did too.
And it appears to be raining as well.
Yes.
But eventually the newlyweds, Joan and Peter, fall asleep. And as they're sleeping, Vitus Vertigast strokes Joan's hair.
He creepily touches it.
Peter wakes up and
catches him.
Vitus apologizes and explains that, he hasn't seen his wife in 18 years, basically. Doesn't even know Joan, she's dead or alive.
And Joan is a lot like his wife.
Of course she is.
He left a girl to go to war.
And he explains that he was imprisoned during World War I, Karen, and he never saw his wife again. And he was imprisoned for 15 years.
Did you write down the name of the prison?
No.
He said something kind of poignant, I thought, and I can't remember the name of the prison, but he talks about it. And he says, many men went there, few have returned. Yeah, and then he pauses and he says, I have returned. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently it's an infamous prison camp in Siberia, Karen.
What's the name of it?
I don't know. I can tell you that, though.
Okay. I just thought that was a powerful statement.
So we get off the train and they're in a train station and they get into a bus.
It's more like a trolley.
Open air bus with roll down sides, Karen.
It's got benches in it. It's like a trolley on wheels.
Yes, yeah. And it's stormy weather. And as they're driving along through the muddy roads, the driver tells them stories about the war.
It's a bit of a downer.
Yeah, apparently everybody's got a thing for World War I in this film.
He's saying it's an unusual rain, but he's talking about the graveyard that they're passing, the greatest graveyard in the world. Talks about all the dead men.
And they crash, Karen.
That they do.
And apparently the bus driver's gone. He gone. They roll over the side of the
a small hill. But the rest of the passengers, being Dr. Verdigrast, Joan, and Peter. Oh,
and the doctor's servant.
Thamal, 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 the doctor's assistant. They all take their bags and walk. And Joan is hurt, and Thamal is carrying her. They ring the doorbell of a house. Apparently the house of
Dr. Perlzig. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, not doctor. I apologize. He's an architect.
Yes. Mr. Perlzig.
Yes.
I think he's a doctor.
No, he's an architect.
Okay. So they ring the doorbell, and Vitus tells the man who answers the door that Perlzig will be expecting him when they carry Joan upstairs.
He calls him engineer. So I don't know. But they all enter the house, and it's a very modern looking house. Very minimalist, but sharp corners, and you would describe it as modern.
And there's an intercom system in the house, Karen. And I guess the guy who answers the door lets Perlzig know that Dr. Verdigast has arrived. And then Perlzig sits straight up in bed.
Like Dracula coming out of his coffin. Or
Frankenstein, yeah.
Yeah, but like he's coming out of the coffin. He's just slowly rises straight up.
Right up from the waist, straight up.
But he's not alone.
No, Karen. He has a hot blonde with him.
He does.
Hot young blonde. Don't know who she is yet. Next, a maid brings a bowl of water to Dr. Verdigast, and he washes his hands as he examines Joan.
Yeah, this woman, we don't see her again, do we?
I don't think so.
She's dressed like a frau, like a beer wench. She's got the traditional German
St. Pauli girl.
Yeah, kind of.
But Dr. Verdigast gives Joan an injection. Next, Perlzig enters, and he and Vitus exchange pleasantries.
And he just stares at the lovely Joan.
And here's where I made a note that Boris Karloff, looks quite a bit shorter than Lugosi.
I think Lugosi was a big. I think he's a bigger dude.
I know, but it's odd. I mean, I know that Karloff wore like platform shoes and shit when he's playing Frankenstein, but I didn't think
the other guy's bigger than him too, isn't he?
Yeah, I didn't think he was that short. I found that odd. That's why I made a note. Then Verdigast, played by Bela Lugosi, confronts Perlzig about the war. He thinks that Perlzig sold them out to the Russians. And
they leave the room first.
Yeah.
They leave the newlyweds. And he's bitter. He's accusing him of a lot of things.
Well, he's built his very house upon the very fort that he commanded and turned over to the Russians, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
That's weird.
And Verdigast asks Perlzig where his wife and daughter are. He has tracked them all over the world, and it has led him to this very spot.
He says some poignant things to Perlzig. He says it's a masterpiece of construction built on a masterpiece of destruction, murder of 10,000 men. And he says those who died were lucky, but he was taken prisoner where his soul was killed slowly, 15 years in the darkness. So he's laying it out. It sounds pretty bad.
Peter interrupts them, and then they all share a drink, Karen.
Karloff told Lugosi's wife that Lugosi was dead when he wasn't.
Yeah, but when Peter interrupts and they all have a drink, they talk about the house, and Vitus Verdigast tells Peter that the house was built atop the ruins of the fort, and Peter finds the house very interesting. And apparently Perlzig is one of the world's greatest architects.
Yeah, he's from Austria.
And then Perlzig says that Verdigast is one of the world's greatest psychiatrists, apparently.
From Hungary.
And Peter says, I write mysteries.
I'm an American.
Right?
Yes, he's a writer.
And Verdigast begins to make a toast to love. Loved, Karen, the month of love.
Mm-hmm.
But
gotcha.
he is frightened by a cat. And apparently there's like a bunch of knives on a end table or some shit.
Conveniently sitting
grabs
there.
One and throws it at it and kills the fucking cat. Right?
So he recoils dramatically. This isn't just a normal reaction. Maybe you're a little scared of cats. He has a phobia. What's the phobia called?
No.
So he has allurophobia, which is a phobia of cats, and it's significant. But I was going to ask you, do you know what the top 5 phobias are? And again, this is not deep diving, people. This is just pulled off from Googling this shit. So
top 5 phobias.
You're not going to know them. Do you want to know what they are? You want to go in backwards order?
I think clowns has got to be up there. Or
you would think.
How about arachnophobia, Karen? Or claustrophobia? What about that one?
They're not in the top 5, but they are in the top 10.
Neither one of those?
Nope. Arachnophobia is 6.
Fear of heights. Fear of heights. Or
and claustrophobia is 8.
Acrophobia is fear of heights.
That's 9.
That's bullshit. Social phobia, Karen? Fear of rejection.
So nossophobia.
How about
no, we're going top 5. Just
aphodia, fear of snakes, Karen.
Those are your top 5. I'm talking about the general population's top 5.
How about trypanophobia, Karen? You know what that is, Dr. Karen?
No.
Trypanophobia, the fear of injections.
No, that would be me.
Yes, I know.
Don't be diagnosing me. Okay. The top 5 common phobias. Nossophobia, I
think I named at least 5. But
is the fear of developing a disease. Thanophobia is the fear of death. This one's interesting, and I'll probably butcher it, but aticophobia is the fear of failure. Trypophobia, this one I actually have, it gives me the willies, is a fear of circle clusters. I don't like that.
I have to know what that means because I don't really understand it, and I don't think our listener will either.
No, they will. If they have it, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Maybe they don't. I don't. What's that mean?
It's just clusters of circles.
Clusters?
Yeah, like holes in a tree, or they go through a little bit about it, and they say
the rings of a log scare you.
No. It's like if a woodpecker would peck holes close together. Look it up. You can tell. And it says the image of circle clusters are reminiscent of things we as humans have feared in the past, like infectious diseases and dangerous animals like bees. The honeycomb doesn't bother me, but the circles do.
Bees aren't scary. Bees are good.
Until you go into anaphylactic shock.
Well, if you're allergic to bees, then you get
the fear of injection? That's what you get if you go into anaphylactic shock for bees.
Trypanophobia.
Yes. And the number 1 are social phobias, which are social anxiety disorders. All right. But do you want to know what some of the least common phobias are?
Oh, I know you to.
Xanthophobia is the fear of the color yellow.
Yeah, I ain't got that. There's Karen. I'm actually in a room surrounded by yellow.
Turophobia is the fear of cheese.
Yeah, I love cheese. I would eat that shit up.
Somnophobia is the fear of falling asleep.
Oh my God, I'm definitely not afraid of that. I would love to fall asleep as soon as I lay
we're all
my
like, we
head
would
down.
love.
It would save me a lot of bills and medical shit.
Hylophobia is the fear of trees.
Oh, I love trees. I loved climbing trees as a kid.
Colophobia is the fear of clowns. I just thought it was interesting. They're not really.
What's it called? Fear of clowns?
Coulrophobia. Coulro phobia.
Okay.
I think a lot of people hate clowns, but I don't think a lot of people really fear them.
One of my son John's friends has a fear of clowns.
I mean, most people aren't comfortable around them and think they're creepy, but I
don't care. Doesn't bother me
because their face is covered. So what's the phobia for cats? Allurophobia. So the doctor has that.
Allurophobia.
Big time. So after he kills the cat, which nobody reacts to, they all just kind of watch the knife and stand there, and then life goes on.
So basically, but whatever. He kills the damn cat and he gets over it really quick, I think.
Well, nobody cares. They all just look at it and then keep talking. I would have been upset.
Then Joan enters and she appears to be behaving oddly, I wrote.
She's hypnotically walking in.
And this is when Pearl's explains that Vertigas has an intense fear of cats. But then at some point, Joan and Peter embrace.
They
There's
start
like a
kissing.
statue.
Yeah, this was bizarre.
And Pearlsig
Excuse
grabs
me.
it by the arm, right?
Pearlsig erotically strokes a statue while watching Joan and
He
Peter
doesn't
kiss.
stroke it. He just grabs the arm.
No, his thumb is going up and
Oh,
down
come
the statue.
On the breast, Karen.
No,
Well, then it's not.
on,
Yeah, he just grabs it.
it's on the arm.
And then Peter carries Joan back to bed. Next, Vertigast explains that he gave Joan a very powerful narcotic and she needs to rest. He explains that the narcotic, hyoscine, how do you say it, Karen? Doctor?
Oh,
Dr.
I didn't
Karen?
hear it.
Hyoscine, yeah. HYOSCINE
Sounds right.
makes people behave strangely sometimes.
Yeah, it can cause one to become a medium, he says.
You don't have any experience with the tranquilizing drug, hyoscine, Dr. Karen?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I could never prescribe anything. I'm not that kind of doctor.
So Vertigas says that certain ancient books say that the black cat is the living embodiment of evil, that when a cat is killed, the evil goes into the nearest person. But then Pearlsig says that some books say that the black cat is deathless and cannot die.
Yes.
It is the origin of the superstition of the cat having 9 lives, Dr. Karen. Karen, how many cats do you have?
Including outdoor cats? Or
How
just
many cats do you have?
4.
And how many of them are black?
2.
Okay.
Would you like to know how black cats got the raw end of the deal?
Sure.
Black cats are beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. Black animals in general. I have a black dog, or my wife does, even though he hate me.
He hate you. So again, this is just a brief Google that shit kind of thing. But the fear of black cats first arose in Europe in the Middle Ages. As their numbers grew within the cities, they were seen as pests. Cats are nocturnal and roam at night. Thus, their agile movements and eyes that glowed at night became the image of darkness, mystery, and evil. They killed off an awful lot of them. They were dominant for quite a while, and then they're not.
You probably should have left them alone so they kill off all the rats that brought on the plague and all that shit. But
well, people just don't want to believe the truth. Other cultures, there's a lot of cultures that think black cats are good luck too, but that's kind of where their bad luck, evil kind of thing started.
Next, Pearlsig shows them into their rooms, and they are all adjoining. Vertigas says that his adjoins Jones, and he offers to switch with Peter so that, he and Jones' rooms adjoin because they're fucking married. I don't know why they're in different rooms.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Either. They're newlyweds.
It's their fucking honeymoon, right, Karen?
You've been married 30, 35 years. You're like, yeah, you take that bed. I'm going in this one. Newlyweds
it's true.
Newlyweds will suffer through a twin bed to be together. But I think they were bigger beds than twins, weren't they?
Yes,
I don't know.
I think so.
But it's 4:37 when they go to bed.
No, it is not.
Oh, that's what I saw in the.
No, it's not. Dr. Karen.
Okay.
And Vertigast asks if it's okay if he keeps the adjoining room open. Ask Peter. And Peter says, yeah, he would prefer it because the house creeps him the fuck out. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
And then there's a nice transition scene I wrote of Peter putting his coat over the camera and pulling the covers up over him. Right? And the clock next to his bed on the nightstand says 4:32, Karen.
No, I guess I need my glasses.
Yes.
That happens, Greg, when you get as old as I am.
I just had an eye exam, Karen, so I know.
I know. And your eyes are beautiful and lovely and perfect.
Dr. Lauren said my eyes were beautiful.
But I've been out to dinner with you and your lovely wife, and you can't see the menu either, so don't start.
Oh, I can now because I have glasses. Next, we see Pearlsig walking the halls carrying yet another black cat, Karen.
Or the same one.
Oh, he's dead.
Is he?
I don't know. But he is looking at his collection of dead women in glass caskets.
Yes. Call it the Museum of Women.
Yes.
How many did you count? I didn't count right away. I think there's about 7.
I don't know if there's that many.
I don't know if he made a circle, though. If he made a circle, I might have counted like 2 of them twice. There's at least 5.
I was going to say 4. off the top of my head, but I don't know. I wasn't counting, but my impression tells me 4.
They're encased in glass and they're kind of floating. They're upright. They're not laying down horizontally. They're vertical.
It's a lot like any DC comic fans out there. It's a lot like Mr. Freeze's wife floating in her casket.
But these are in air. They're not in any liquid.
Even Karen, right?
Yeah.
Vertigost's wife, her hair is like up. It's like, it looks like she's floating.
It does.
In water.
Her hair kind of goes to a point, like a mermaid's would or something. It looks like that, but it doesn't look like there's any liquid in them.
There isn't.
Their feet are not touching the casket.
Yes, they're floating in the caskets.
Yes. They're not touching any sides of it.
Next, I have 4:52 a.m. on the clock, apparently.
Peter's sleeping.
And Pearlzig enters Peter's room, but he thinks it's Vertigost's room.
Because they have something to settle.
Yes, they do. Pearlzig ends up going to Vertigost's room because the door is open. And Vertigost again asks him where his wife is. And Pearlzig says he will take him to her.
And he does. He takes him down the winding staircase, which is metal, I think, and goes in a spiral. It's a spiral circle.
Right. But Pearlzig says Vertigost must come alone. He has to leave Thamal.
He has to leave his servant.
That's kind of a little important. So then Pearlzig, like you said, takes Vertigost down the spiral staircase into the remains of the fort.
I wouldn't have gone with him. Would you?
They're friends. They're old friends.
Are they?
Yes, Karen, they are.
I don't know if I'd follow you down a spiral
staircase. You could be
staircase
friends and enemies at the same time.
In an old fort.
It is
I would
possible.
feel like that you were going to stick me in a room.
Vertigost, as they're going down, Vertigost says he can still feel the death, in the fort.
He's definitely traumatized.
Yeah, as you would be.
I agree.
Spent 15 years in a prison.
10,000 men died there.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pearlzig takes Vertigost to the glass casket with his wife in it.
Yeah, just takes him to the Museum of Women and walks him up to his wife hanging there.
I thought his reaction would be worse, though.
I agree. I don't know.
We
if
don't
he's
even
in
see
shock.
him. Like Pearlzig tells the story of his, his wife, and it tells him that his daughter is dead and then they show Vertigost, and he's visibly sad, but not fucking hysterical like you would expect him to be, right? Like, you motherfucker. Why'd you fucking put my wife in here?
Because she's hanging there too. It's not like he took him to a grave where she's in the ground with proper burial. She's hanging in this glass casket, and he barely has a reaction. Like I said, I don't know if it's shock or what. He's been dreaming of this moment for so long.
His face is very sad, though, when they show it.
It is.
But so you would think I think I'd break the fucking glass.
I would agree.
Just to see.
I would think anyone would.
Whatever.
Or at least cry out or start beating up Pearlzig.
But he seems like his voice is like lost. You know what I mean? Which I can see as well. People react differently, Karen, right?
Hello, boys and girls. Doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show.
But Vertigost blames Pearlzig for her death, and he pulls a gun on him and says he will kill him just as he killed her. Then the black cat enters, Karen, and Vertigost freaks the fuck out, and he drops the gun.
Conveniently, that cat shows up, and then Pearlzig kind of comforts him.
Yes, and he gives a soliloquy about death, and he invites us, but I didn't make any specific notes.
I just said they leave the Museum of Women.
Next, we see Pearlzig going back to his bed with his girlfriend, Karen.
I think it's his wife. It's his wife.
Whatever
Karen.
it is, Karen.
No.
Karen.
I thought they said Carmen, but it's Karen.
It's Karen.
Yeah.
And he tells Karen that he wants her to stay in the room all day tomorrow.
He hypnotizes her. He takes his hand and they want us to believe he hypnotizes her.
But we do learn here that Karen is Vertigast's daughter, right?
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock.
All right. So next, Vertigast servant, Thamal, wants to kill Pearlzig, but Vertigast stops him. He tells him that he will let him know when the time is right. Until then, he is to act as both of their servants.
Yeah, he's kind of laying in wait.
So he's going to play
lying
both sides.
in wait. Yeah, he's going to see when the best time is.
I like that. That would be fun.
Just waiting for him to mess up.
Yes.
So he can pounce.
Next, we see Pearlzig in bed reading, doing some light reading before bed, Karen. And what is he reading, Karen? Do you know?
I think it's like the ceremonial rites of Lucifer.
Right. It's the rites of Lucifer.
As you do.
Did you make a note of what the book said, Karen?
I did not.
I've spoiled you.
I don't want to say that stuff. Go
I
ahead.
will.
You go ahead. You say the rites of Lucifer.
I will, Karen,
I know you will.
right now. The book reads, "In the night, in the dark of the moon, the high priest assembles his disciples for the sacrifice. The chosen maiden is garbed in white." And that's all it says.
I know. I saw it.
Nothing really sinister.
But isn't a maiden supposed to be like a virgin?
A fair young maiden?
Isn't that what maiden means
I don't know.
in satanic rituals?
Don't know, Karen.
Because I'm pretty sure
I don't have a lot of experience practicing satanic rituals.
Joan, you know.
She
Well,
could
maybe
be
not.
a virgin.
She could be because they
They hadn't had time to like consummate
Right.
the marriage, I'm pretty sure.
because he showed up in their cabin or their
Yes.
coach, and then she was in the crash. So maybe you're right. She could be.
And he closes the book and puts it on his nightstand and turns out the light, just as I do every night, Karen. Next morning, Joan wakes to knocking on her door, and it is Vitus Vertigast.
Puts on a lovely robe. She has beautiful sleeping attire.
But he has come to examine her dressing, which startles her a little bit because she doesn't
not remember
remember.
much. Yeah, because she had the narcotics, so she doesn't know really what's happening.
And she remembers nothing of the accident. And Vertigast tells her that she is in the home of his friend Pearlzig. Next, Pearlzig enters the room to check on Joan. Just walks in. Everybody just walks in.
I know.
Don't knock or none of that shit. They just walk right in. And Joan seems to be creeped out by Pearlzig.
Well, Joan asks where Peter is. I just like this reply. He said,
Right next door.
"No, he's breakfasting." Like that. He's breakfasting.
He's having the continental breakfast down in the lunchroom or the lobby.
Pearlzig ogles Joan, and she feels it. Like she is uncomfortable with his stare, and she covers up more with her robe.
Well, he's got that whole like, what's it called, Karen? The brow thing.
Widow's peak.
Yes. He's short.
He's
short
a
and
lot-
scrawny, but
he's-
whatever.
He's kind of more stiff, didn't you think, than Bella? Like,
Yes.
I don't know if that was part of his character, but he's a very stiff actor. Like, he doesn't move fluidly at all. He doesn't
No.
speak fluidly. He doesn't move
No.
fluidly. He really, it's a nice dichotomy between the two, but I don't know if it's
Yeah.
on purpose or if that's
don't
just
know.
how he acts.
Don't know.
I mean, we watched him in the 8, but we didn't really see him move that much.
And it was only a year after this, right? So next we see Vertigast and Pearlzig have a disagreement about Joan. Vertigast knows that Pearlzig plans to keep Joan there, but Vertigast plans to do everything he can to let her go.
Did you see? There's a good quote here too, because Pearlzig says tonight is the dark moon and he's going to do a ceremony and he's going to keep the girl. And the doctor says, "There was nothing spiritual in your eyes when you looked at that girl." I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then he starts sexually stroking the queen of the chess set, which they're sitting down to play.
Yes, I didn't get all that, but yes. Pearlzig talks of the ceremony later that evening in the new moon. I thought it was a new moon because it's a dark,
Right.
right?
This probably is.
And then they play chess. There's like a whole like chess match going on already.
Well,
but
they're yes, exactly. But they're playing chess for Joan's release or her non-release.
Next, we see Peter and Joan in their bedroom, Karen, and they're kissy facing,
making googly eyes at each other.
And they want to leave.
They don't like it. They do want to leave, which they should.
Yeah.
The vibe is creepy. There's no pretend here. I mean, they're both creepy, but Pearl Zig is just a whole order above. If you were there, you can't miss it. You wouldn't miss this if you were there. You would be able to feel that he's a bit strange.
Next, the police arrive and ask the menfolk about the accident the previous night. So it's basically Pearlzig, Vertigost, and Peter, right? And they're talking about what happened the previous night, the accident with the bus and all that shit. And at one point, Peter says that he and Joan are on their honeymoon and where they're going. But then the police argue about whose hometown is the best place for them to honeymoon.
I think it's a bit of comic relief.
It is.
They both argue that their hometown is a better place to honeymoon. There's two policemen.
But Vertigost explains that the accident was due to the rain and the road giving way. Nobody's at fault, basically. Peter asked the police if they could provide a ride for him and Joan to the town. But the police officer says, unfortunately, they travel on bicycles.
That they do.
So, yeah.
But there is a train that leaves at 11 p.m. that night that
Yes.
Pearlzig says he will take them to.
Yeah, Pearlzig tells Peter that they will be unable to leave until the next train at 11 p.m. that evening. Peter persists that if they could only get a ride into town, they could get to their destination. Pearlzig tells his assistant to get the car and take Peter and Joan into town.
All the while playing chess with the doctor.
Yes.
But
alas, Karen, the assistant comes back in and says that the car is out of commission and will take some time to repair.
So next, Peter goes to plan B.
Yes.
Asks for the telephone.
Peter asks to use Pearlzig's phone. He says he will call the hotel and have a car sent to them. So, of course, Pearlzig tells his assistant to take Peter to the phone. But Karen, the phone is dead.
Peter's getting frustrated. And I don't know who says it, but even the phone is dead in this place.
Yes. And then Pearlzig says to Vertigost, you hear that, Vitus? The phone is dead. Even the phone is dead. That's what he says. So
and Peter, he's ready to go. He's like, we're just leaving. If we have to walk out of this joint, it's weird. We're out of here.
Exactly. But he checks his luggage as he's getting ready to pick it up, and he discovers that someone has taken his automatic, he says, Karen.
Which is his gun, right?
Yes.
I thought they would have taken their passports, but I guess he's traveling with a gun.
Well, yeah, as you would.
He is American.
So next, Peter and Joan come downstairs and say they are leaving, but the mall, Vertigost's assistant, is blocking the door. And Peter tells him to open the door, and he attacks Peter. The mall does.
Yeah, which I still don't get why that's happening, but okay.
And Joan faints.
Yes, she does.
And the mall carries Joan up to her room.
I thought Peter was dead.
Next, Pearlzig goes to Joan's room and checks on her, and he locks her in.
But he just walks around and leaves.
And the mall picks up Peter and carries him down to the area where the fort was, the ancient fort. And they lock him in one of the gun turrets.
Oh, that's what that was. Gotcha. Because it's a circular room and it rotates.
Yes.
Gotcha. I missed that. Okay, that makes sense.
Next, Pearlzig begins playing the organ, Karen. Any idea what tune he is playing?
I should know it. What is it?
Do you have a guess?
No, I don't.
It's a very popular tune, Karen, especially around Halloween.
I know.
Any idea?
Nope.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
Not even the composer? Don't know who wrote it?
Beethoven.
No, it's Bach.
Bach. I was going to say, there's that. Just go, Bach from MASH.
It's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, Karen.
There you go.
By Johann Sebastian Bach.
Yep.
But while he's playing that, Vertigost steals the key and runs away. And he goes to Joan and tells her that they are all in great danger. He tells Joan that he is biding his time, but when the time is right, he is going to kill Pearlsig.
He tells Joan what's going on.
That there was a satanic ritual that night, Karen. And he believes that Joan is to play a very important part in that ritual. And then the music stops abruptly.
He tells Joan to be brave. It's her only chance. He says Pearlsig is a modern priest of an ancient religion.
So Vitus Vertigos goes downstairs and gives Pearlsig the key back. Next, we cut to a scene and we see a black cat running through Joan's room. And Karen follows behind Karen.
Karen and Joan meet.
Karen introduces herself to Joan. Joan tells Karen that her father is not dead and he has come for her. Just then, Pearlsig enters the room.
But before this all, so I just made a note that Joan seems, while she's talking to Karen, rather calm. She doesn't know where Peter is. Peter could be dead. She passed out, when that whole thing went down. So she has no idea where her newlywed husband is.
She's on narcotics.
She's over the narcotics, but she's just talking to Karen. Hi, I'm Joan. Oh, by the way, your dad isn't dead. But I'm thinking, aren't you worried about where your husband is? She wakes up. Your first thought would be, where's Peter? Nope.
But then Pearlsig enters the room and he follows Karen into the other room. And off screen, we hear Karen scream.
Yep.
Is she gone, Karen? Is Karen gone, Karen?
I thought she was.
I did too. Next, it's the dark of the moon, and the guest will soon arrive for the ceremony, Karen.
Oh, we do see the girl a second time. The servant girl is here, the one that brought the water. So they're talking about it out on like the deck about this, that the guests will be coming.
And Pearlsig is outside looking into the sky. Next, Pearlsig comes downstairs wearing a robe and a pentagram or pentangle necklace, Karen.
Appropriate.
And Pearlsig goes up to an altar, and all the other people have their robes on.
And they gather round.
Gather round, children. Let me tell you a story.
Let's all talk to Satan.
But then Pearlsig says a bunch of Latin, Karen. Did you catch any of that shit?
No, again, that's something I'm not going to repeat.
That's not what I asked, Karen. Did you catch any of that shit?
A little, but I'm not going to repeat any of it.
Okay. And then the girls remove their robes and they go up to get Joan. But they're not naked, Karen. They don't get excited. They have white dresses on underneath.
They are all clothed under their robes, which we knew because they put the robes on over the clothes.
They're all dressed in white gowns. And then Pearlsig says some more Latin. Anything you have to say about that?
Nope. I am not repeating any Latin that was in a satanic ceremony in the dark moon.
Come on.
It's not going to happen. Nope.
Come on. Nope. It's not a dark moon now. It don't matter. Just words. Don't mean nothing.
Say it. Just say it.
We don't have a virgin here. It doesn't matter. All right. But then Peter wakes up in the gun turret.
Yes, Peter is alive.
He lights a match and finds the light switch. And he turns the turret so he can get out.
Yeah, that seemed awfully easy. Was that because
the door is locked? He can't get out, Karen, right now.
Oh, I thought he could. I thought he did
Not
get
now
out.
He can't. First door he tries is locked. He can't get out. But it is a circular turret. We may come back. Next, back at the ceremony. The holy ceremony, Karen. One of the girls in white sees something behind her apparently and screams.
And faints.
And everyone goes to check on her.
What was that?
Because they're all carrying like that.
That was weird. I don't know what that was. Did I miss something?
I don't know either.
Okay.
And while that goes on, Vertigost and the mall grab Joan. She's like laying up there on the altar or some shit, right? At this point.
I think she's chained to they're like railroad ties or something.
It's like an altar, but it's not.
Yeah, it's sort of an altar.
It's not nearly what I would make it, but
you'd have a way better satanic altar than that.
Oh, fuck yeah, I would. That shit didn't look satanic at all to me, but whatever. Next, Peter finds a door in the turret where he is locked, and he leaves through the hallway, and he's walking past all the dead women in their glass caskets, Karen.
And he just walks by.
Yeah, as you would.
I wouldn't, but okay.
Well, he wants to get to his wife, Karen. He's not worried about all
We
these
should
other
be
dead
looking
women.
closely to make sure she's not one of them.
True, maybe. Next, Pearlzig's assistant enters looking for Peter with a gun, and they struggle. Pearlzig's assistant knocks Peter out, and he comes out of the room and finds Vertigast, Joan, and Tamal. Right? Somehow they all got down there at this point. And he shoots them all, Vertigast's assistant. So Joan struggles to get away from Vertigast, and Vertigast says he knows the way out.
Oh, that's yes.
So Joan is fighting with him, even though she shouldn't be. And then Joan tells Vertigast about Karen, that his daughter is alive, right?
Yes, because Vertigast says leave, and Joan says no, not without Peter and Karen.
And then Vertigast asks Pearlzig's assistant where Karen is. Like he grabs him by the collar and shakes him, but he gone. Right, he's dead. Right, the guy with the gun shot him. Then as Pearlzig runs down the stairs, Vertigast finds his daughter, and apparently she gone too.
Rude.
Yeah. Then Pearlzig and Vertigast fight.
Finally.
Yes.
Pearlzig has the upper hand in it.
Well, I don't know.
He's kind of winning.
Yeah,
he is. He's on top of him.
So what? He's skinny and scrawny.
But the shot dying servant comes back.
In and pulls Pearlzig off of Vertigast.
And they get control of him.
Next, Joan screams as Pearlzig is put in shackles by Vertigast.
Yes.
And Vertigast tells Pearlzig he's going to skin him alive.
Flay him slowly, bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
He said he learned some things in prison.
Yes. And we see shadows as he takes a scalpel and begins to cut down Pearlzig.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
And Joan screams.
But Pearlzig doesn't.
Guess what he gets. So Peter follows Joan's screams and finds the room where they are all located. But the door is locked. Peter tells Joan to get the key. So Joan runs over to Thamal, who is all but dead now, and pries the key out of his dead hand. Right?
Yeah, and the doctor asks Pearlzig, how does it feel to hang on your own embalming rack? Then Pearlzig starts screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's getting down to business now.
And Vertigast goes to help Joan with the key, but Peter from the doorway yells at Vertigast to get away from her and fires his pistol, shooting Vertigast in the back.
Peter misunderstands the situation.
Yeah.
Although it's pretty gruesome all around. I mean, he is flaying his friend. So I don't know if I'd trust him either.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, Karen.
Okay, good to know, Greg.
So next, Joan unlocks the door, and Joan explains that Vertigast was trying to help them, and Vertigast tells them to go, and they run away. And once again, Karen, just like the last episode, there's a wall of levers.
Yes, there are.
Or levers. Not sure the correct
Depends on where you live.
pronunciation. But he says it's the red lever that ignites the dynamite. He says if he throws the lever, they will have 5 minutes before everything explodes. Vertigast says it has been a good game as Joan and Peter escape.
And everything blows up.
Yes, he throws the lever and blows up the house. Next, we see Joan and Peter in the street stopping a passing car.
Immediately, they run to the street. There's a car.
Don't know how much time has elapsed. Don't know.
I thought the burning building was in the background.
Next, we see them on the train, and Peter and Joan are having their passports checked. And Peter reads a newspaper, which has a review of his latest mystery novel, Karen.
Which starts out a pretty good review.
Yeah, it's called Triple Murder, is the name of the novel, apparently. But the review says that the occurrences in his book are implausible and could never happen. Wah, wah.
They kind of just look at each other.
The end.
That's it. I thought it would have been great if the conductor came in and said, "We've oversold this compartment," and they have another man come in. I thought that would have been a nice circular. I mean, I get the book thing, and that's cool, but that it's implausible and unbelievable, and he should stick to things that could actually happen. But I was waiting for them to say, "I'm so sorry. We've overbooked this compartment. Do you mind if another man comes in?" They would be like, "No, sorry, no, not happening."
Yeah, that would have been better, I think, now that you say that. But then there are credits, and of course, a good cast is worth repeating, as all Universal films of this time period apparently do. All right, Karen, anything you were pleasantly surprised by in this film from 1934 starring Bela Lugosi and Karloff?
I'm going to say I was pleasantly surprised by the chemistry that those two have. I think they played really well off each other. That's what I liked.
I don't know.
I thought they were good together.
I thought they were okay. I kind of thought that Bela kind of stole this film.
Well, like I said, when we were talking throughout the film, he was definitely more fluid, and Karloff was definitely stiff. But I wondered if that was supposed to be his character, because he was a creepy dude. And sometimes it's creepier if you seem to be normal, but you're not. But he's stroking chess pieces. He's stroking statues. He's
is he stroking, Karen? Is he really stroking? Is he really stroking them?
He is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. I thought it was gross.
No.
But anyway, I like their chemistry. I just did. That's what I was pleasantly surprised by. I mean, and I think the movie was better than the description. I mean, the description sounded like they were going to cram just anything in there that seemed like, oh, satanic rituals, throw that in. You know, suspended women in the basement, throw that in. War, PTSD, throw that in. Black cats, get them in there. It just seemed like it had a lot of stuff for an hour.
I agree with what you are saying. I don't know if it's the screenplay or what, but I think Bela stole this film. Just like they did Bela wrong on Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. This was his film to shine, and he did. So
he was believable as a traumatized war veteran, I think.
Yeah, it was all around him. He ran this film.
He did. But you think he's a good guy, which he kind of is, but then he's willing to flay this other guy.
He's
going to skin him. But he comes off as the good guy the whole time, and then all of a sudden,
killed his wife and his daughter.
I agree, but he doesn't seem to react to any of that.
God.
So he is
I would
absolutely playing the chess
slowly.
Game. Well, exactly as he did.
Slowly.
He waited for his moment, just like he said he would. But you kind of didn't know if he was going to actually do it. He didn't seem to have it in him.
But when he enters, his daughter is still alive.
But he doesn't know that.
I know.
Because she's
worse.
hypnotized.
That would make me skin him even slower.
Yes. So what were you pleasantly surprised by then?
I like I just said, I think Bela,
you liked his performance.
He owned this. He did.
Yeah.
I do like Karloff's character now. So Karloff's character would have been a lot better if he would have towered over Lugosi, I think. You know what I mean? It struck me.
To be more intimidating, you mean?
Yes, it struck me that he was shorter than Lugosi in every scene. And I'm like, wow, that's, he seemed feeble compared to Lugosi. You know what I mean?
I thought it was more.
But he's supposed to be like the satanic priest or whatever.
Well, the way I interpreted it, which could be wrong, was he was more of the calculator, like the person who would calculate what to do, whose side to be on in order to win. And Bela was more physical. That's why he could survive the 15 years in the prison. Karloff would have never survived the 15 years in the prison, because he was small and scrawny, but Bela did. I just kind of thought they were dichotomies of each other.
He may have made deals and whatever.
Brains versus brawn.
I was kind of shocked at the difference between the two. You know what I mean? So Lugosi was 6'2", Karloff was 5'11". So I think that's
It's only
pretty
3
true.
inches.
Well, I think it's pretty true to what we saw in this film, though. I think the film would have been much better if Karloff would have been wearing his Frankenstein shoes.
So that's what you're
Just
disappointed
that,
in?
enough. Just that would have been made the film better, I think.
Well, he kind of walked around like he was still wearing them.
Just my opinion.
So that's what you were disappointed in then?
There wasn't a lot to be disappointed in, I don't think.
Well, the whole cat thing was weird and almost unnecessary.
Well, they say it's based on Edgar Allan Poe, but it really isn't. That's really got the title. That's about it, apparently.
I mean, they could have found other ways for him to be disarmed or something. It just seemed very odd. It wasn't essential to the story.
No.
At all. So I think that was just an unnecessary little piece in there. The cat did a great job. All the cats that we've seen are great actors, but I just didn't think it was necessary. Plus, I like my ending better.
Your ending involved someone turning into a cat like the ape?
No, where they are in the train and a guy comes in and needs to share their compartment.
Yeah, that would be good. I agree.
And they just flatly refuse. No.
Yeah. But,
that would be better comic relief than
yes.
the 2 policemen.
If they did this today, that's what would happen, but they're not doing that today. So I agree.
I liked the review of the book. I thought that was clever, that he wrote about the truth and nobody believes him. So
yeah, like totally implausible. That would never happen.
It is kind of out there.
All right, Karen, anything you were very disappointed in?
I just told you.
All right, Karen.
You said there wasn't much to be disappointed about. Is there anything you want to throw out there?
No. I mean, I picked this film. I think it's great as it is.
Okay. It was better than I thought.
We have Satan.
Right. We have
newlyweds. I mean, it's all about the love, Karen. There was Satan's bride, newlyweds. What more do you want? Dead women preserved in caskets.
Black cats.
Forever young.
Flaying. All the high points.
Yeah, can't think of anything I would change.
Okay, no reason to worry about you.
No. See, I thought you would like this film because they did Bela wrong before, but this is a Bela film, I feel like.
I agree. If you asked me who was the better actor and I had only watched this film, I would say Bela.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. Anything else you were disappointed in?
Not really.
So what kind of cocktail rating we giving this film?
It gets at least a 3. Not quite sure it's a 2. We're pretty tough when it comes to 2s. So
yeah, we give lots of 3s. I'll give it a 3.
I think it's worth a watch if you run across it. I think
agree.
There's some deep psychological issues there. And
apparently people get all excited about the architecture, Karen.
I can imagine that. It was is it too early for Frank Lloyd Wright? Or it wasn't an open floor plan, but it was very, very modern.
But they stole that name, Perlzig, from a famous architect.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did. Absolutely did. Hold on. I'll tell you.
There are moments in the film where they take time to point out the architecture. Is it Peter? He plays with the clock.
Yes. And
he mentions a couple of things about the house, but they do make it part of the story, the modernness of the house, the contrast with being built on the old fort.
Yeah, there was a famous architect named Polzig, and they pretty much stole his name for this film. Hans Polzig, German architect, painter, and designer, and is also based apparently on Aleister Crowley, if you know that name.
I do know that name.
Do you, Karen?
Yeah.
So 3 cocktails, Karen?
Yes, Greg, 3 cocktails.
All right, Karen, comments on my drink, the Black Cat. Any comments? Anything you have to say about how
Well, I'm pretty sure
I
I made it all wrong, but it's still delicious. I enjoyed it.
Yes, and I just did. Finish it off. It's pretty good.
It's a good one. And if you've been following us for a while, you're going to have all the ingredients. So that's nice too.
Yeah. Pretty much I like anything that has Sprat in it.
Why wouldn't you? So Sprite, if you're listening.
All right, Karen, anything we learned today?
We learned all your phobias, a couple of mine.
What do you mean all mine? You don't know all mine.
Learned the top 5 most common and a couple of the least common.
I only have a couple, really, but whatever.
Learned about black cats in Europe and why they're feared.
Yeah.
We learned about satanic rituals and the dark moon.
Well, you did.
Well, and that I won't repeat Latin from satanic rituals and the dark moon. That Lugosi is taller than Karloff. That Peter was in a previous film.
He was Harker. Pretty important character, I think, in Dracula. Anything else, Karen, we learned?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
All right, Karen. Next movie, I believe, is your choice. Is it not?
It is, and you're going to love it.
Okay. What film have you chosen?
The film I've chosen is Voodoo Woman from 1957.
Yeah, I like the title. All right. Do we have a drink for this film?
We do.
What will we need?
It's called Voodoo Magic, and you're going to need whiskey, vodka, amaretto, pineapple juice, orange juice, and sour mix, along with a little bit of cranberry. A splash, as they like to say.
So Voodoo Magic, whiskey, vodka, amaretto, pineapple, orange, sour mix, and a little bit of cranberry.
Yep.
All right. Awesome, Karen. Anyone you need to thank this episode?
I'm going to thank, again, all our listeners. We really appreciate it. Thanks for spending time with us.
I'm going to thank Verse 13 for letting us use their music in the podcast. Once again, all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast is provided by Verse 13.
They do make the podcast better.
All right, Karen, anything else?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You know, we really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.